You ever find yourself looking up at the sky, you see a plane way up there at 30,000 feet, and you notice something? They're pretty much all white, right? It seems like such a simple, maybe even boring design choice. But it turns out the reason behind it is this incredible puzzle of physics, safety, and yeah, cold hard cash. So let's dive in and figure this out. So that's the big question. Why are the vast majority of commercial airplanes painted white? I mean, you see a few colorful ones here and there, sure, but white is overwhelmingly the standard. And as you're about to see, the answer goes way, way beyond just simple looks. It really all boils down to two huge categories. On one side, you've got the hard science. We're talking physics and safety. And on the other, you've got the practical economics of what it takes to run an airline. We're going to tackle both, but let's kick things off with the science first. All right, first up, the science. And you might actually be surprised by how much the basic properties of the color white can have a massive, and I mean massive, impact on how a plane performs, and more importantly, how safe it is. You know, this is the perfect place to start. It all comes back to something we all know intuitively. The same reason you'd grab a white t-shirt on a super hot day is one of the main scientific reasons these multi-million-dollar jets are also white. It is all about reflecting heat. And the numbers here are just wild. White paint reflects about 99% of the light that hits it. And that's not just the visible light you and I can see. It also includes the sun's infrared radiation, which is what carries most of the heat. The paint literally acts like a giant thermal shield for the entire airplane. So what does this actually mean in practice? Well, a white plane stays way cooler, whether it's just sitting on a sizzling hot tarmac or flying through the upper atmosphere. This means the air conditioning system doesn't have to work nearly as hard, which makes the flight more comfortable for everyone inside. Darker colors, on the other hand, just soak up all that solar energy, basically turning the metal tube of the fuselage into a bit of an oven.
Okay, so staying cool is a huge plus, for sure. But the scientific reasons don't stop there. The color white also plays a really critical role in just keeping the plane structurally sound and, safe to fly.
So let's think beyond heat for a second and talk maintenance. Just imagine trying to find a tiny hairline crack or a small oil leak on a dark blue or a complicated patterned surface. It'd be a nightmare. But against a plain white background, any little imperfection, any crack, dent, or leak just pops right out to the ground crew doing their inspections. It's a deceptively simple but absolutely vital safety feature. And there's one last scientific point here, and it's one you really hope never, ever comes into play. In the worst case scenario, if there's an accident, a white fuselage is just so much easier to spot from the air. Think about it. Whether it's against the dark blue of the ocean or the green of a forest, that highly reflective surface makes the aircraft a beacon for search and rescue teams. All right, so the science is crystal clear. White is a winner. But in an industry like aviation, decisions are never just about science. Now it's time to follow the money and see exactly why white is also the smartest financial move an airline can make. Yeah, painting a plane is nothing like painting a car. It's a colossal undertaking. First off, the specialized paint and the labor involved are incredibly expensive. Second, all that paint adds hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of extra weight. More weight means the engines have to burn more fuel on every single flight. And finally, while that plane is sitting in a paint hanger for days or weeks, it's not in the air earning any money. It just so happens that plain white paint is one of the cheapest and lightest options out there. And the financial logic continues all the way to the end of a plane service with one airline. You got to think about resale value. If an airline is buying a used plane, the last thing they want to do is spend a fortune stripping off another company's complicated, colorful branding. A white plane is basically a blank canvas, ready for the new owner's logo. Because of this, white planes consistently hold a higher resale value. Okay, there is one last major economic factor we've got to look at. And this one is all about good old-fashioned wear and tear. Flying at high altitudes constantly exposes a plane to intense UV radiation and really harsh atmospheric conditions. And those harsh conditions are brutal on paint. Bright, vibrant colors fade and oxidize over time, and they start to look chalky and old. That means they need constant, expensive touch-ups to keep the plane looking good. White, on the other hand, is just incredibly resilient. It doesn't really show fading, which dramatically lowers the long-term maintenance costs. And for an airline, lower costs mean higher profits. Simple as that. So, we've gone through the science and we've gone through the economics. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and get our final, clear-cut answer.
When you step back and look at it all, the choice is just a total no-brainer. On the science side, white keeps the plane cool. It makes damage super easy to spot, and it helps in search and rescue operations. And then, on the economic side, it's cheaper to apply, it's lighter so it saves fuel, it gives the plane a higher resale value, and it costs less to maintain. It wins on every single front.
So, the next time you're at an airport or you see a white plane gliding overhead, you'll know it's not white by accident, and it's definitely not because it's boring. It's white because it is, objectively, the most intelligent, efficient, safe, and profitable choice possible. It's really the ultimate example of function completely dictating form.